Altcoin season is dead. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name's Neil. We're going to keep technical analysis short and sweet. And no, it's not dead. It's about to get started. Looking at these orange candles, in my other video I kind of explained this. We could even see lower lows than what is presented here. However, judging by this pattern, what we've seen in the past, almost identical to this, we could expect this to push up, test this down or upward trend line, have some consolidation and rejection, and freak out everybody, and then do it yet again, and then for another day or longer, trying to take everybody's liquidity, everybody's selling, thinking it's going to continue lower, when this is actually what is called the shakeout. And with the shakeout, you get a bunch of weak hands, retail buyers just willing to get a quick dollar or take a loss instead of waiting for the actual initial push up. So there is still a long way to the upside, but there is still a potential to be heading down here to the 618 Fibonacci retracement, even potentially lower if it does get pretty violent. But we did break the upward trend line, which is why we would exit a trade like this in Bitcoin. And you could always wait to re-enter maybe at a little higher point if it did continue up, but you are not losing money, or you're just entering at a different point. Looking at Floki, I kind of want to bring up Toshi in this too, but Floki pushed up, had that retracement, tested off the 200 EMA, got a little support, but ultimately crossed under it for a little while, and now is holding support on this red line at 4098, and we just need to get above that 200 EMA, and we may see a major push up like we did previously. For Floki, it was about a week and 56% increase. Keeping in mind it is a meme coin, the next stop would be somewhere in this area around 0.4082, but it is filling out a W. It is trying to build higher lows. Just keep an eye on Floki if you're looking at entering it near. I skipped this one the other time. Still forming out the inverse head and shoulders more or less. As long as we stay above this area, the previous low, we should be good. It is underneath this upward trend line that we had placed, which doesn't look the best. RSI is a little oversold, but forming a W. 200 EMA is coming down, so it's getting very tight. This is the upward trend line, this black one, downward trend line, this other black one. This green one is just to see a generosity of it. And since we did break that, we could see a little bit lower, which with the Fibonacci retracement, more or less, the 618 is right here at 2.28, the next stop at 2, and the ultimate stop that we'd want to see is 1.82. If that does happen, it all really depends on what Bitcoin's going to be doing, faking out, consolidating, and ultimately pushing up near the end of the year, most likely. XYO. This one is a sleeping giant. I've talked about it throughout this entire process. And I like to reference this square to the square back here, back in September, October of 2024. And this square right here, we had that drop off right here, which would ultimately be the 6th of July, more or less. And then we had that push up, another drop off, which we had that push down, a little bit of consolidation, still building higher lows. If this holds support, all we have to do is cross over the 200 EMA as well as this downward trend line, and this thing will start taking off with no possibility of being able to catch it. So if you have not stocked up on some XYO, it's not a bad idea too. We are also building higher lows in the RSI. If I were to draw a trend line, higher lows, right? That's what we're looking for. Building up and then potentially getting overbought, which would be pushing this out of the range. Seen on the RSI, increase in volume, and that insane push up. If you have not entered XYO, when we cross this area, it's off to the races, and there is a lot of pressure building up within XYO. This is actually one of the coins I've probably talked about longer. So keep in mind, if we can hold above this upward trend line, everything is good. And if we cannot, we may see a further push down. But quick retracement back up to test this downward trend line yet again. XRP, XLM, LCX, XDC, Jesus. There's a reason they all have X's, because XRP is going to be integrated into the new global financial system. It's going to be able to transfer money from one location to another. And if you own XRP and stack a bag of it, they will do staking where you will get a percentage of every transaction that is paid out. Obviously, it's a very minimal percentage depending on how much XRP you have. And the amount can accumulate a lot of money quickly for passive income in the future. So getting XRP anywhere in this area is not a bad bet. Could we see lower? Yes. The 618 is back at the 2.61. I want to even put it past it to push it all the way down to 2.34 if we got the opportunity. However, I would be looking at some support on this upward trend line, which is above the 1 area. If that were to happen, I personally don't think that's going to happen. None of this is financial advice. I think we may see a little bit of a retracement, give you the opportunity at 2.66. If Bitcoin pushes lower, maybe 2.33, and then ultimately 2.2. But anything beyond that, I don't think is a possibility for being entered into XRP. For this point on into the future, XRP is going to be above $3, or I guess $2.20, more than likely. Again, not a guru, just throwing out my opinion on what there is a possibility of, and we've seen that it seemed to work pretty well for most people. Also, shout out to Joe for watching my videos and doing on one-on-one with me. Appreciate talking with you. And learning a lot about what your situation is and how we can prevent any losses and maximize the potential gains. So yeah, thanks for watching the channel. Much appreciation. XLM, similar to XRP, it's about to break this upward trend line. But what we would want to be seeing next is if it can hold this downward support. This was the bull flag we had. This is just more or less irrelevant. But if we do push, this is a possibility of coming back down here towards the 200 EMA before getting a little bit of support and testing this downward trend line once yet again. XLM, similar to XRP. If you're buying XRP, stack a little bit of XLM and vice versa. Spell, consolidation. It's in consolidation. But we've seen major pushes up within 1 day before retracing to consolidation. However, this 200 EMA is getting tested a little bit. It's been tested a few times on the way down. And we see we tested it here, had a retracement, tried getting back up to it, had that fake out to a further low, and then that major push up blowing right past the 200 EMA, which would also break this downward trend line, which is very important to see a major push up, potentially to 0.0009, I believe. About a 60% potential on that one. Pretty good for Spell. Keeping in mind, its utility may not be the best. There may be other coins like LCX that we were having our entry point above this 200 EMA when it was closing. You see that had a major push up to 1756. I was stating from months ago, anything above like roughly 14 to 15 cents would be your potential entry. And then another thing to look at is this volume down here is picking up massively. And with that pickup in volume, it means more buyers pushing this up, which hit that 17 cent before a major rejection, as those people had scalped a pretty good profit if they were entering from the 200 EMA. Say they got 22%, and now they're back down at 9. So, 11, 13% increase more or less to scalp this 1 day trade on LCX is not bad for a win. But we do want to see this, potentially test this once more before ultimately taking off, which would make the RSI look a little healthier, not be completely overbought. Is it possible to just shoot up? Yes. Is it possible to shoot down? Obviously. But holding the upward support trend line that we will now build, we want to be holding above that line, which would also be consolidation above the 200 EMA before pushing up even further. But LCX is looking better and better as each day goes by. Then Hbar and XDC real quick. Hbar looks terrible, right? Water's pushing downwards. We are seeing it trying to be held up by the CM guppy. Sometimes when it gets close and then holds a little closer to the CM guppy, we see something where it gets a push further down towards the 200 EMA. I guess, let's see a better example. Push up through the CM guppy, have a little bit of retracement, which is most likely a 618 Fibonacci retracement. A little over 618, it's the 786 Fibonacci retracement. And then we had that further push down, which was brutal for a lot of people. A lot of people had sell orders in this area. A lot of people got stopped out for buy orders, and we had a complete liquidation before getting that support right above the 200 EMA and that massive pump above the previous high before getting rejected. We could see the same thing happen with Hbar, where we see it trickle through the CM guppy down to the 200 EMA consolidation and then push up beyond this previous high at 29 cents. And then XDC still doing its thing, still waiting for it to get consolidation and close to that 200 EMA, which would be the 618 Fibonacci retracement. We are a little oversold, so waiting for entry on XDC, which can be traded on MEXC. Description has the reference links for MEXC. If you use it, you get $10 free USDT. And yeah, Grass is doing a free airdrop in 7 days. So if you want free airdrop money, just download the Grass application on your computer, and it's all encrypted. It's not taking any of your information. It's decentralizing the network, and you can get paid in tokens, or I guess paid in points, which transfer to tokens, which you can then stake for 34% APR, which is just astronomical gains compared to like online banking at 30 or at 5%. Anyways, good luck. Have fun with it. I will see you guys on the next one.